March the 4th. Support for the manufacturing sector. Again, this is a sector we are seeing great attrition in. And this is, again, a major concern. A capital cost allowance to help our manufacturers, particularly in dealing with new equipment, is sorely needed, Mr. Speaker. Absolutely sorely needed, and again, something that needs to be properly addressed. We have the worst youth unemployment in a generation. Now, some of us were here when the summer job creation program, I think a couple of years ago, some of us remember the debacle that was. And, of course, nobody knew who was going to get summer employment at all. It was so bad, they had the Minister of Veterans Affairs announce more money. I don't know what the Minister of Veterans Affairs had to do with youth unemployment. But I can tell you that they finally changed it. And hopefully this year, at least for summer students, we will see some improvement. But in the longer term, and the need for those graduates coming out, and I deal a lot with young people, and I will tell you, and I'm sure many members have the same situation, where people are now going back, they're going back for that master's program. Why? Because they realize they can't get a job currently. Or they're going on to a PhD, whatever. They're just staying in school the best they can because there's no opportunities out there. And again, no direction has come from this government in terms of dealing with the chronic youth unemployment situation, which I say is the worst, Mr. Speaker, in a generation. We also need to look at the encouragement for startup companies by introducing additional tax measures for Canadians, particularly for young entrepreneurs. I think that the genius of Canadians, of course, is we are a very inventive nation. And we have been able to create when, in fact, there's an opportunity when the conditions are there. And again, the government seems to have ignored that. And one area which I can't understand, when the government has a success, they actually shoot themselves in the foot. And that, of course, was on the eco-energy program. I'm sure there are many members in here, certainly my constituents, since 2007, were applying and we're certainly taking advantage of that program. Well, the abrupt cancellation of this, almost in the middle of the night saying, we're canceling this, it's because it's too popular. Now, what can be more important than dealing with energy efficiency, particularly in this day and age? Well, again, it was canceled, and I understand that $745 million for the program, only $91 million of which has ever been actually directed towards customers as rebates. Now, what's interesting here is that people actually said, I want to make my home more efficient, energy efficient. I'm going to take advantage of this program. And people lined up and they said, we want to be part of this. But again, we don't know where the other $654 million, it's not accounted for. Maybe we'll see that hopefully when the Auditor General takes a look. But again, it's a question of you've got a successful program, we're going to cancel it because it's just really not, well, it doesn't really, of course, many members on this side know that when it comes to energy efficiency, climate change, this isn't something that's very popular on the other side. But I do believe, Mr. Speaker, that it is important that those kind of programs address the needs of Canadians, particularly because obviously it helps in terms of reducing their expenditures, particularly for heating. We have stressed for small businesses. Again, a lot of small businesses involved in this kind of retrofitting program found it a great boon. And I had people in my riding companies who took advantage saying, geez, we got all these customers now. This has been a great program. And, of course, once it was canceled, the phones lit up and people said, why did they do that? Why are they canceling it? Again, no rhyme or reason, but it was canceled. We see, again, going back to, I think, one of the most important issues, and that clearly is when you have the kind of deficit that we have in this country, we cannot expect that governments are going to be able to say to Canadians, well, we're going to spend our way out, but we would expect to have a strategy, an exit strategy that says, very clearly laid out, this is how we are going to tackle getting out of the economic mess that we're in. Unfortunately, the projections they have, nobody believes. And because nobody believes them, there is a great sense that, in fact, it's going to get worse and worse. And as I said, Kevin Page was very clear that they're out at least by $10 billion. Who knows how much more? So the difficulty is that, you have to, first of all, be able, as we did when we were government, explain to Canadians what the nature of the problem is and how do we deal with it. Now, we did a lot of things as a government to deal with an economic crisis in deficit. We made sure that we didn't merge the banks. I remember my colleagues on the other side saying, we got to be like Citibank. And now who's taking the credit today for what Paul Martin did in ensuring that we didn't have bank mergers? Those guys on the other side, Mr. Speaker. And I have to tell you, that's a bit hypocritical, given the fact that when I was parliamentary secretary, I had more Conservatives come over and say, you know, we're not going to be competitive globally unless we're like Citibank. Now, it's good that we did not listen to the economic gurus on the other side. They like to say that they are the economic gurus. An economic guru has a $56 billion deficit. An economic guru says, let's have the bank mergers. Economic guru says, just let the market run its course. Well, you know, sometimes government can play a very positive role in society. And I think in this case, Mr. Speaker, we did play that positive role. And because of that, we came out of a very difficult situation. Unfortunately, it didn't take them very long to get back in. And I'll tell you, $42.5 billion deficit for 23 years, they now think that they're going to get out of it in 5. Good luck to them, because I believe, Mr. Speaker, there isn't an economist worth their salt who believes that that's credible. And certainly we on this side do not see that happening in the foreseeable future. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.